It's the night of April 24th. Darkness has fallen, and where I'm standing is where Chinese assault parties are forming up, putting on their haversacks full of grenades, cocking their weapons, and moving up the re-entrant behind me to assault the Glosters on their last stand position. Fighting will go on all night. We've already heard about it in previous segments. Explosions all around the hill from artillery and mortar fire, flashes above from the parachute flares and the star shells. Outgoing tracer, British tracer, is red. Incoming tracer, crisscrossing from the Chinese forces, is green. Total pandemonium. As the guys who were here said, it was literally like fireworks night. Fighting goes on all night. The Glosters hold. And as dawn is starting to break and Colonel Khan, the Gloucester commander, hears the bugle sounding down here to signal the Chinese for yet another attack, he says, "Do we have a bugle on this position?" And this initiates one of the legendary incidents in the battle, the so-called Battle of the Bugles. It's discovered there is indeed one bugle up on the Gloucester position. Drum Major Buss takes it and says, "We have a bugle, sir. What should I play?" And Khan says, "Play everything. Reveille, officers dressed for dinner, the last post. Play the full repertoire." And the Gloucester adjutant, a very tough soldier called Tony Farrar-Hockley, says, "Play everything, but don't play retreat. We're not moving from this position." So the drum major raises the bugle, and indeed, in the middle of this battle, this intense 360-degree firefight, plays his full repertoire. And all the guys said, remarkably, the battle stops. I'm assuming what happened is the Chinese, their buglers, who again are signaling their attacks, are hearing this noise up at the top of the hill and are wondering, is that one of ours? No bugles, no signals, no movement by the Chinese. The drum major finishes, snaps to attention, and around the top of the hill, all the Gloucesters who've realised what's going on cheer in their trenches. Morale is suddenly re-established. But as George Newhouse, one of the Gloucesters, put it, we cheered him when he played, and then we cursed him, because as soon as he stopped, the Chinese opened fire with everything they had, from down here and from the ridge lines around the Gloucesters. Fighting continues, and it's now daylight. The Chinese managed to take the highest point on this hill, a small knoll at the top. The crisis of battle has been reached. Tony Farrar-Hockley, recognising what's going on, grabs a sack full of grenades, crawls through the position, and is looking for all the oldest, most experienced troops in the Gloucesters, the old NCOs. "Sergeant, come with me. Corporal, with me." And he gathers this group of his best men and says, "Men, I can't order you to join me, but we have to attack this knoll. Follow me." And he stands up and charges, and he said, "I looked around and every man was with me. We charged up onto the knoll. The Chinese pell-mell were pushed off, and I was absolutely elated. This is the high point of battle, to drive the enemy off at the point of the bayonet." But as he crawled to the edge of the hillside, on the other side of Hill 235, and looks over the edge of the knoll, all he can see down below him on the contour lines are hundreds and hundreds of Chinese. And he realised, if they attack, it's game over, we're finished. But because it's now daylight, US tactical air has come online, and Sabre jets are now circling in the air above the encircled battalion. And they have a radio link to the battalion. So the battalion says, "Can you drop?" And the US pilot says, "We can drop, but you must mark the target spot." So Farrar-Hockley says, "What can we mark it with? Do we have a smoke grenade left?" So the word goes around the battalion, "Smoke grenade, smoke grenade, smoke grenade." There's one smoke grenade left in the entire unit, and that's passed up to Farrar-Hockley. It's purple smoke. Purple smoke hits the ground, billows up into the air. The US Air Force now has its marker. Over the radio net, they tell the Gloucesters, get your heads down, we're coming in very hot, because the munition they have on board is the most hideous weapon of the Korean War. It's in a canister. It's a mixture of naphtha, which is an incendiary, and palm oil, which is a gel. So it's called napalm. This stuff, when it ignites, will burn at 8 times hotter than boiling water. And because it's a gel, everything it sticks to is just incinerated, and it causes the most hideous burns, thick keloids. And this is what is unloaded on the other side of the hill. The napalm lands right in the concentration of Chinese. It bursts with a whoomph, orange flash of flame, black oil coils up into the sky, and the Glosters, seeing that this is bang on target, all let out a huge cheer. As one of them said, we cheered when it went in, and then we heard the screams of the Chinese. Because the Chinese soldiers who are attacking the Glosters, caught in this lava-like flow, are literally being curled up in the heat and suffering a really hideous death as they're literally burned to death. And the Glosters, who saw some of the corpses as they came off the hill, subsequently said these piles of enemy soldiers were just blackened and smoking. But because the sky is now clear, because the US tactical air is now in action, the Chinese can no longer prosecute their attack, and a silence falls over Hill 235. It's now full daylight. It's the morning of April 25th. And Colonel Khan gets on the radio to Brigadier Brody and he's told the bad news. And we can imagine the sheer drama as the Glosters learn their fate in the last radio link to Brigade HQ. They're told that the US counterattack is not coming. It's been redeployed as the entire UN line across Korea is now moving back, leaving the Glosters completely isolated within enemy territory. This message is passed on, and Brigadier Brody over in Brigade HQ is overcome with emotion, can no longer talk to Khan. On a signals notepad, he writes, "Only the Glosters could have done it." Passes that to the signaller to read to Khan up here on the last stand position. Passes this to his officers. He tells his men, his officers, there's no way we can break out of here as a formed unit. We've got no ammunition. We fought to the last round. So he gave an order which Farrah Hockley would later say is an order I've never heard before. I hope never to hear again. And that is every man to make his own way out. So the Glosters, they've got no ammunition. They smash their rifle bolts. The wounded are left on the far side of the hill with the padre and the doctor in the medical section. And the men in 2s and 3s, small groups, come down this re-entrant, past the heaps of Chinese bodies. Many of them who haven't drunk for 2, maybe 3 nights, drink in the stream and try and exfiltrate through the Chinese to the UN lines, which are about 10 miles further south. But of course, there's now a division of Chinese, about 12,000 Chinese, who have surrounded the 600 Glosters. And one by one, the men are picked up and captured and are taken prisoner of war, where they'll face 2 harsh years in the POW camps in the far north of North Korea. The Gloucester Battalion has essentially been lost in battle after 3 nights. For the men who are in this area, the area of Hill 235, less than 70 make it back to UN lines. The Gloucester Battalion has been lost in battle. For our last position, we're literally just going to walk a few meters over to the old 1957 Battle Memorial.